007.
What's happening, everybody? It's your man Dame DMYDC. It's two mics up, business corner, and today we're global. We're going across the globe with a very special guest who's doing a lot of work in many different areas of importance, and there's some game changing when it comes to, let's say, marketing, conservation, entrepreneurship. And today's guest has not only his hands, but he's someone at the forefront of pushing all of these initiatives, if you will. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring to you and to the mic today's guest joining me, Mr. Callum Armstrong. Callum, how are you doing today, my friend?
Hi, Damon. I am so good and so excited to be here.
Man, not more than I am. And look, as our audience takes a moment to listen, yes, Callum is joining us from across. I want to say across the pond. He's really across the waters, and it's morning where he is at the time of this recording. So, Callum, give our audience a little bit about who is Callum Armstrong, the person, especially when he's not elevating others in their businesses, and drop us a little nugget because you have another little nugget that you also have your hands involved with.
Indeed. So I am living here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, where at the bottom of the world, I guess you would put it, the deep. I live in a town called Rotorua. It's in the middle of the North Island. It's full of geothermal activity, so funny smells,
Wow.
lots of steam coming up. Yeah, really cool place. Um, I have a background in marketing.
Mhm,
I've done a range of things. I've been a
mhm,
freelancer, run an agency. Now I do coaching,
mhm.
help businesses to level up. But what I really love to do outside of work and also inside of work, which we'll get to a bit later, is help nature. So my
Mm.
partner, she works with the kiwi bird. It's a flightless nocturnal bird that has a long beak and pokes into the ground. It's our national icon, and penguins and stuff. And I go into the forest and protect our habitat. We love hiking, climbing mountains, being out in nature. And yeah, so I got into business to help the environment, and I'd love to
I
share a bit
love
of
that.
that at the end. But
I,
thank you
I I
for
love
having
that.
me.
Oh yeah, look, man, look, this is what it's all about. The world is really such a small place now, especially with technology and different things, social media, and it's great when to be able to have someone like yourself come on and talk because you are really engraved or really enshrined into what's going on in nature and in the habitat where you are. And I have to say, it can't really be too many bad days when you're really spending a lot of your time doing your work outdoors, enjoying the beauty of things, but you really transition yourself, really, from what I understand, from one job with like an essential oil business to founding Paste and Publish, and this all happened during the pandemic. Like, explain to us how that whole transition and everything came about to make that move.
Yeah, it's funny connecting with the outdoors. It really does recharge our batteries, even if it's just walking on the grass. It started. I When I finished my studies, I drove around the country, and I was selling carpet of all things, floor coverings, and
Wow,
I saw a
wow.
lot of nature. And I
Hmm.
thought that farms were nature, and soon I found out that all of our land was forest before, well, most of it was
Mm,
forest
okay.
before humans arrived. So that led me into this journey of starting this company called Manuka Essentials, and the idea was that if we took native plant extracts and put them into products that people bought, we could create demand for farming and for landowners
Mm,
to plant native forest on their land, which would help the habitat.
mm,
That turned into
right.
skin care, beard oils, skin oils, shave oils. And that was quite a learning curve. It was my first ever business. I started that in early 2018. And by the time 2020 hit, the pandemic, uh, I was quite focused on it. But during that time, I had been doing content marketing as a freelancer on the side.
Mm.
People kept asking me, that paid the bills. And people kept asking me to start an agency and hire a team. And I didn't really want to because I could do great work myself and, responsible for other people. Let's put that over there. So the lockdowns hit. We were considered non-essential in our skincare business, so we had
Yeah.
to stop. Income went to zero overnight, basically. That obviously came back
Wow.
online later. But those clients that
Wow.
I was serving that were getting results, a couple of them said, "Hey, we're going global. We're booming because of COVID, and among other things, and we want you to serve us, but with more capacity. We'll give you these
Okay.
big contracts. We'll make our content work exclusive for you." And I was looking
Wow.
at it and thinking, well, I have a business that's got no income, and over here people are saying, we can pay you a lot more, and it's this opportunity. So I said, let's make Paste and Publish into an agency. I had some friends that
I
wanted
like that.
to get involved for experience, so I said, "Oh, yeah, you guys come over here. We'll get the clients over here," and it came to life. But there was a rule. During the agency, we said we're going to use 5% of income to pay our team to do free work for environmental projects. So yeah, it was kind of
Okay.
still following the lines of the environment, but it went into that agency space. We grew to 9
I,
people over the next 18 months, and then realized that running an agency wasn't my place in the world. So we transitioned away and got into the coaching.
okay. So wow. I mean, that's a whirlwind of things in really a short time. And then, because that was not, like you said, maybe not working, in the manner or the way that maybe you foreseen it. So then you transition into coaching and
Yeah, I also,
talk about what type of coaching you do, for
yeah.
anyone listening and watching.
So I also ran a retail shop during that time. It was I don't recommend trying to run 3 businesses at once. You work a lot of hours and you miss a lot of fun stuff in your life. So, just yeah, for one, unless you're like one of those crazy Elon Musk folks, because I don't know, there's not something else about them that normal people don't have. But yeah, so coaching, what I found was when I was running the agency, I got the most joy from upskilling my team, training them, giving them feedback, watching them improve, seeing the joy in their faces when they learned and improved, seeing the transformation from when they first joined us to when they were parting, or when they became managers and leaders.
Right.
I really enjoyed doing client strategy, educating my customers. Half the time, even when a lead came in, half the time I'd do all the strategy for free and wouldn't even charge for it, just because I wanted to
Wow.
do that. I really just spend my time doing that. And then the delivery of work, it's okay. I can do a really good job.
Mhm,
We had good processes
mhm.
in place, but it wasn't what brought me the most joy. And so that, on one hand, that was the case, and I thought, why don't I lean into my passions? Because when you spend more
Right.
time on what you enjoy, you do a better job, and you
Yep.
can do it for longer, and it's more joyful and it's more successful.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, I noticed that as an agency, we were delivering work, and the
Mhm.
clients didn't have much time input, but they had a lot more money input. Obviously, they had spent money and they got a deliverable,
Right.
but they didn't have the ability to repeat that unless they just gave us more money to deliver work. So they
Okay.
were like buying a loaf of bread from the bakery. And I
Yeah.
thought if I got into coaching, I could give them the whole bakery.
You can
They
do
could
yeah.
own the ability to generate the same results we were
Oh,
generating for them within
right.
their business. So they could
Wow.
have the outcomes of an agency with the cost of a staff member and a coach. And
That's
so I
interesting.
thought, well, this is much better. I like to set people up for the long term. And I always
Mhm.
say to people, I treat your business as if it's my own, and I do right by you through good times and bad. And so I thought, well, if I become a coach, I can build the capabilities with your team so that you can do that
True.
forever. And
True.
that's kind of what led to coaching.
I really like that because I mean, although all of these pieces seem diverse and individual, it really speaks to who you are as a person. Being able really, I mean, yeah. Sometimes you have to stand back. I'm that type of person. I like to analyze, and I like to look at the big picture, and it just tells a lot about a person that has the multi talent ability to be flexible and then to go ahead and use their passion and pour that passion into others in their business place or space, and really trying to do, trying to do good for the world. And that's one of the things that really struck me as, reading about you and reading about some of your work. And I just want to change for a second. Just like when you talk about marketing, like, in your marketing, space, being able to, stay up with the change, because really the canvas of marketing is always and continuously changing. And I'm curious to know for you, like, what is your philosophy like on using AI, for example, in content marketing? And let's say, if you were or had been working with a client, how do you incorporate, let's say paste and publishes, influence and stamp in their workflow?
Yeah, great question. And I think there are many angles we can take to that AI topic.
Mm-hmm.
And when people talk about AI, we're talking about the latest tool, the latest process. Look at my library of prompt templates, and we
Right.
get down into the details, but quite often we don't zoom out. And I like
Mm-hmm.
to explain the role of AI, how we use it, and I think how it's most important going forward by zooming out.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we marketing? Why are we creating content? Why are we even, running a business?
Right.
Marketing back in, say, the 1950s, 1960s was just a department in the company that was there to get our products in front of people to sell stuff. As
Right.
the decades wore on, the marketing became embedded in more and more parts of the organization. Tools and technologies came about. We moved online. Automations and all these other technologies that have had so much positive influence on our business and on our
Mm-hmm.
society have changed the face of marketing. And AI
Right.
is just the next step in that. So I've got some specific pointers that I'm going to share. I'd love to share in a moment about
Mm-hmm.
how AI is used in our business. But I think let's preface that with the fact that there's a relationship in every single aspect of business. We have a
Right.
relationship as a brand with our customers, and that relationship is built upon trust. It's built upon those customers having a problem or a desire, and they go through a journey of buying.
Mm-hmm.
It's built upon, if you're creating content, the foundations, the fundamentals matter most. Is the
Mm-hmm.
content
Mm-hmm.
answering the need of the customer? Is it entertaining or educating or informing them? Is it appealing to them in their stage in their buying journey that they're going through, not what you want to sell them? Is it high quality? Is it insightful?
Right.
Is it on tone of voice with your brand? So just keeping, I could go along a lot of lines of what is
Right. Right.
needed, but
Right.
keeping in that line, AI is about making what we're doing more efficient and effective. And so with that in mind, here's how we use AI.
Okay.
So firstly, ideation. Sometimes you want to get some ideas for a content plan, or you've got a blog topic or a social media post, and you don't know what to put in there. We use AI to generate ideas using some of the tools like ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity or Google Gemini,
Mm-hmm.
depending on your preference. Improving the wording of copy, especially when you're building a website, is something that I personally use AI for quite a lot. Um, Sometimes you spend 2 hours writing a page and you're just so deep in the details that trying to find the best wording for that title or how to word that text is just, it's just beyond your creative capability
Yeah.
at that point.
Yep.
You can go away, but you can waste a lot of time on that. So putting into an app like ChatGPT, here is the copy I've got. Here's the topic or the business or the charity that we're writing this page about. Here's the purpose of this section. Here's what we're trying to get across, and here's the audience. Please answer it, and then just having a conversation with it really helps to generate ideas. And sometimes I'll say generate 10 ideas for this, or 10 ways of writing it, and refine it.
Mm-hmm.
Another app, Grammarly. Grammarly I've used before this whole AI boom was about. I think it was an AI tool then. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
it's not perfect. But the Grammarly is an app that you plug into your emails, your Google Docs, all your different apps, and it
Mm-hmm.
goes through and gives you suggestions on how to improve. And there's a lot of little minor things that make the difference between good and great that I can easily forget, like a comma there, or a full stop there, or actually if you
Right.
restructure your sentence, it'll sound better. Grammarly will just suggest it. Half the time I reject it, half the time I accept it. is helpful, especially in emails. Header images. So I was involved in this project called Improve Your Business with my mentor
Mm-hmm.
and good friend Envy. Improveyourbusiness.substack.com if you're interested. I exited that about a month ago, but we published about 30 newsletters each fortnight on how to get better results in your business. And we
Okay.
wanted a beautiful header image, but it was going to cost a fortune to commission custom artwork on every one, and we hadn't
Okay.
made money yet. So we just used ChatGPT and upload your
Wow.
brand guidelines, set the
Wow.
specifications of what you need, and that worked well. Research, getting ideas and finding more information than you can search with a single Google search is good. There's a free app called Elicit. I think it's elicit.com, and if you're doing more scientific stuff, you can search your topic or your keywords, and it'll go through hundreds of millions or hundreds of millions, lots and lots of all
Wow.
the online database of pretty much every scientific research paper ever published, and it will
Wow.
find the most important insights. So that's really helpful to get credible information, and it
Look at
even
that.
looks at credibility and biases. Those are some of the main ways. But the key is
Wow.
to if you're using a general AI like ChatGPT, make sure you give it enough context and clear instructions. And if you go too deep down a rabbit hole with a specific chat and it's not giving you the right answers, start a new chat and try again.
Try it again. Yeah, I find I'm not I myself was not a big fan of AI to begin with, but
Neither.
but it's one of those things what really stuck with me in that sometimes when you're trying to be creative and ask different questions. I mean, a lot of times you're asking the same questions to guests on the podcast, different fields, but sometimes when you really want to deep dive, like really what we did with you was didn't know much about you, and reading and the work that you were doing, and just try to be creative and really like that question, like what is something that's really to me is a really deep dive that we can really touch in and hone in on your skill set. And I had to use AI for that. I used I think it was Perplexity or one of them,
Yeah.
to kind of create that, question, because sometimes you get stuck like, I don't know enough about, okay, well, what does paste and publish really do? And what is, Callum really do? So I had to kind of blend, like you said, 5 different things, and I had to keep writing new threads because I was like, oh, that's a good piece. That's a good piece. But it still wasn't matching together until like the 10th time. I was like, okay, now it makes sense. But as we've gone on, I'm not saying I'm becoming a fan, but I'm understanding its use when it comes to trying to be creative and find questions to drive, help me drive this show when I have guests on, such as yourself. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick pause for the cause. I want to thank our sponsors, who allow us to be here today to talk with Callum Armstrong. And when we come back, we're going to talk a couple of other things where, I want to get a quick question about him as a coaching consultant and what he does specifically with B2Bs and their growth strategies and a few other things. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on the other side of the break.
Two Mics Up Business Corner, brought to you by our partners at 94 Media House. 94 Media House is a small company that provides digital design services to other small business owners and creators. Some of their services include web design, brand identity development, and social media management. And what can I say about our partners over at TD3 Enterprises? They're bringing you quality beyond compare, top-notch services and support under their entire umbrella. Two Mics Up Business Corner, top-notch. So let's get back to the show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, fresh back out the break here with Callum Armstrong. Man, this gentleman is a breath of fresh air, if you will. He's touching so many different things, and he has so much knowledge. And if you really, I don't know how you got to this point without starting at the beginning, but go back and really listen to the conversation from the beginning. Callum, man, he's a great guy, and I want to kind of transition into one of his other hats as a coach and a consultant, and dealing with B2Bs, business to business growth, and what kind of strategies, do you focus on? And I know it's probably different, for most businesses, but when you sit down and you're really looking at it, and you can choose one that maybe you've encountered, what do you focus on in your coaching and consulting when, when you're trying to help a business kind of grow their business strategy?
So when you are thinking about growing your business, it's easy to have very vague goals and a very vague roadmap. And when you do that, it's not clear where you should focus. So the first thing is getting clarity, again, pulling the map out, knowing where you are and when you want to go.
Right.
So to do that, we have a couple of things we do. We check where people are at. So I have a method I call the 4-step fishing method. So if you were to go fishing to catch a fish, first you would want to know what type of fish you're catching and where it hangs out, what it eats, when it's there, what tide to fish on, what type of equipment you should use, whether you should use a rod or a net or a lure, or some juicy bait where you need burley, etc. So that's like understanding your customer. What's their problem? What are they? What are the alternatives, the pain points, the challenges, all these things which we help clients to understand and research, sometimes have conversations with their customers. The second stage is, well, based on that, we can make a strategy for how you grow, but do you have the right foundations, the right infrastructure in place? So then we look at what do you need? Do you have a website? Is your website communicating effectively to their needs? They're actually touching on the pain points that they care about, not what you want to tell them. That's like getting your fishing rod set up, getting the right equipment, buying the right bait, and obviously getting your strategy ready to roll out. Then you roll out and you test it. That can be a lot of different things. But when you go fishing, you don't expect that you're going to catch every fish in the ocean on the first try. Not that you would, but you learn and you improve. You talk to other fishermen, you try things, and you double down on what works. So the third step is testing, and then the fourth step is refining and improving. And I think that's the same with marketing. But a specific strategy that we focus on quite a lot is what I like to call the primary and secondary content strategy. I need a better name for that. It's very dull. But it takes a lot of effort to make really good content. I mean, we're talking now, but I know that you've put a lot of time and effort into preparing for this episode. And after this recording's finished, excluding the time you spent here and our scheduling and all these things, you're going to be editing this and publishing it and promoting it. There's a lot of time in our podcast, which I'll touch on at the end. If that, I think we worked out we spend about 10 hours per 15-minute podcast episode and all up. And that's before we even go out promoting it. So yeah, there's a lot of work in creating a piece of good content. That could be a podcast, it could be a video or a mini documentary, it could be a really good blog or series of blogs, it could be a download, like a lead magnet, as we call it in the industry. So if you've done that, you want to get mileage from it. If you just publish this podcast and don't touch it, then that's a waste. So we like to repurpose it. That's the secondary content. So if it's the podcast, for example, in our charity, Conservation Amplified, we then turn that into short video reels that we put on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn and YouTube Shorts. If it's a blog, that might turn into guest blogs on other people's websites or on social media posts or emails to your audience. If it's a lead magnet, same thing. So yeah, the key is know that. So I guess a big strategy we use is what's the main pain point or what's the main interest point that's going to move people through your journey and your relationship to the goal you want. Invest in doing the primary or the heavy lift content really, really well so that it lasts and that it's relevant in years to come. And then repurpose that to get the leverage and to get the reach.
And that's it in a nutshell. I think that's the part that a lot of people don't understand when they see this or they see podcasts, the time and the energy that's invested to prepare for it, to produce it, to then edit it and repurpose it. And this is something, though, you can repurpose over and over and over again because you have enough content. But, that's the part a lot of people don't see. And you mentioned your show. We're coming to the back end, and I want to allow you, because I think it's important. I want to know more and I want to hear more. So I want to give you a couple of minutes just to go ahead and talk about, the work that you're doing and what you're bringing, to light and to the surface for all of us to share in and watch and listen and enjoy.
Oh, thank you for the chance to talk about it. And it's quite fresh. So you're one of the first podcasters that's hearing about this. So back in that lockdown period when Paste and Publish was born and Manuka Essentials was slowing down because of the pandemic, where my partner and I started a charity. At the time, it was called the Reforestation Fund. It was pretty straightforward. It was there to get funding to reforest the country. The idea was that I was I had helping nature and building a business combined in Manuka Essentials, and I thought, well, for various reasons, let's just separate it. The business is a business, and the charity can grow, and then the business donates to the charity. So we were doing that for a while. We were raising funding and funding native tree plantings here in the country,
Okay.
in New Zealand, and what we found was that in these conversations with consumers, with people in the public, and also with businesses, that the understanding of our ecosystems, ecological literacy was so much less than what we thought. In our personal lives, we spend all this time around environmental folk, and we thought everyone knew and cared the amount we did, but that wasn't quite true. So we recently rebranded to Conservation Amplified. I really love simple names, that we're amplifying conservation. And we launched this podcast called the People Helping Nature podcast. The people that help nature are the heroes of our generation. Here in New Zealand, we have over 2,000 community groups that volunteer.
Wow.
A lot of these are people that on their weekend, they give their time. There are volunteers that pretty much work full time in the forest, giving their time in their retirement. And a lot of it's not paid. A lot of it is actually money out of their pockets to fuel, to equipment that doesn't get reimbursed quite often. And most of it's unknown. Most people in their communities don't even know the environmental stuff going on in their own backyard and the biodiversity that's in the bush patch next to them. So the challenges are awareness and funding. When we had the Reforestation Fund, we cracked into the funding thing and found that was actually awareness was missing, and that was affecting the funding. So we changed to focusing on awareness. So the People Helping Nature podcast, we're publishing a 7th episode at the time of this recording. We tell stories from all different walks of life of people helping nature. We've had people making forest corridors to connect rare and endangered, almost extinct bird species, so the genetics can flow. We've had people who are making more forest corridors, hunters that have realized that there were species going extinct in their area, so they formed charities and trusts to go hunting and also protect nature at the same time. We've got an episode on a wildlife pathologist that gets dead animals and studies what caused their death, so that then they can change the policy and laws to change the outcomes. We've got episodes coming up on how nationwide bodies are protecting species like kiwi and how they're coordinating efforts around the country. Like, it's all different stuff, and we talk to all different people and from all walks of life, because the idea is that we want to make conservation mainstream, because we owe this to our children and our grandchildren. This is our heritage, our future, and we need to get everyone involved, because right now,
to get everybody involved.
Yeah, it's those greenies in the corner. It's those, or at least it's perceived as those green hippies, and it's a very small portion of society. But when we reconnect with nature, we actually become happier. Our mental health improves, our physical health improves, and we have more sense of community. So it's not just giving, it's also receiving.
Man, I could not have said it any better, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about giving, right? So that we can receive, what nature really has in store for us, beauty, and it's really for not just for us here, now, and today. We want to be able to conserve that and have that for our children and our children's children. And I really like the work that you're doing there, Callum. Continued success to you in that aspect, in that new aspect, in that new role that you're bringing, to us. And I'm going to make sure, we're going to put your social media information down in the show notes when we actually air this on YouTube. But I want to make sure that we go ahead and promote, you and everything that you're doing. And I thank you for taking time out to join me here today.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate all that you do. And you're a great host. Did you know that?
Well, I've been hearing that lately, but thank you. And I try to remain humble in all that we do here at Two Mics Up. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The great Callum Armstrong joining us from New Zealand. Thank you, Callum. We'll be in touch. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Two Mics Up Business Corner. You can catch us Fridays, 1 p.m. on our Infusion TV channel on the Mogul TV Global Network. You can follow Two Mics Up across IG, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, the whole social media thing down there. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and hit that bell so you can be notified by all the newest content coming to you from us here at Two Mics Up. And I'm going to leave you with a couple of things, ladies and gentlemen, like we do at the end of each and every segment. May you all stay safe, stay blessed. Mics out.